Hello guys, we are looking at another Apple Macintosh today. This is one of the early G4s. This is an AGP G4, so this is an earlier G4. Now, I don't really have a need for this computer because I have a G5, and G5 can basically do everything the G4 can do a little better. And if you watched one of my previous videos, I built a G3 basically for my old school, mid to late 90s Macintosh games. And that computer does just fine for that era, and it has more of a retro old school look as opposed to this G4. So I don't really have a use for this computer, but I did pick it up because I had to in order to get this with it, which is what I really kind of wanted because the price was right. And this is a upgrade. This is a CPU upgrade for the G4. So it basically takes one of these early G4s and puts in a much more powerful processor. Now I believe the processor in this is a 400 megahertz G4. That's actually low enough where it actually makes, I would think this would make a really good like 90s and early 2000s sort of retro game Mac. I think this would run like OS 8 and 9 just fine, although I'm just going to stick with my G3. But the price on this was just too good, and I really just wanted to grab this, and I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I just kind of wanted it to want it. I'm probably going to get rid of it at some point and put the money into a different retro project. But what this video basically is I'm going to install this just kind of to see if it works. Now this is, I believe this is a 1.7 gigahertz. So this is going to be quite an upgrade from 400 megahertz. And I believe this is one of the fastest G4 that came out, or G4 upgrades. Now in my mirror drive door Mac, I think I had like a 2 gigahertz. Now, so they made much higher ones. I think maybe 2.4 or 2.3 was the fastest G4s, but 1.7 is really fast. Now, when I said fast, I don't mean fastest G4. I just think this is maybe one of the fastest upgrade kits they made for one of the older Macs. I think maybe there's a 1.8 gigahertz. But yeah, this is definitely quite an upgrade. Now, as for this computer, I did open it up and I looked inside a little bit, but I haven't really messed with it. So I'm just gonna open it up and show you what it's like inside. And I haven't done anything. I haven't added anything to it or anything like that. So we'll see how the previous owner had it configured. Got a nice case there. I do like this color scheme though, the gray and that blue. I do like that color scheme a lot. Here's the front. We have, this is an optical drive. Now this is labeled zip drive. It's supposed to be a zip drive. There's not a zip drive in there. It's actually a hard drive. And this thing is full of hard drives. The previous owner really liked his hard drives. You'll see that in a minute. Speaker, yeah, that's the power button and it lights up. I think this is like a reset and a debug button or something. I forget what that one's for. But yeah, I mean, if you watch my previous videos, I've done a couple other G4 Macs which are very similar to this, but I believe those might have been. I did a video on the Gigabyte Ethernet version, which is a little bit more advanced, a little bit later one. But so this is different, a little bit different. This is, like I said, this is the earlier G4. We have FireWire, 2 of them, I believe FireWire 400, Ethernet, 2 USBs, though I cannot remember if that's 2.0 or 1.1 or 1.0. And then we have our audio jacks for a mic and speakers. There's a little modem jack and it's plugged up. There's the bottom. You see one of the plates is missing, and there's video card. I don't even remember what the video card is because I was only in this thing once briefly, and I believe that's a SCSI card. And then your power. So let's open this guy up. Okay, and very simple to open. You just pull up this latch and then pull down, and there we are. We're in the insides. Now this is a little bit different. The motherboard's different. It's a different configuration than I believe even the Gigabyte Ethernet version that I did a previous video on. I believe in that one the CPU was like over here, although I could be confusing that with the mirror drive door one, which is one of the much later G4 units. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure this CPU is in a different spot. Looking at this upgrade, let's see what it's Mac compatible on. So it's compatible with this, the earliest AGP. We've got the Gigabyte Ethernet. I did a video on one of those. Did you? Or maybe I did. Maybe my video was. I can't remember. It all starts to go together. Maybe I had a I think I had a digital audio G4, which is still extremely similar. And then it's also compatible with the Quicksilver units and the G4. So this is not compatible with my mirror drive door G4, which I still have sitting around. All right, we'll get back to that when I go to check out. So I'm gonna have to remove this and put that new one on, but it seems like a pretty simple procedure. Man, I haven't done my research on this unit, so I don't actually know the specs, like how much RAM max it can take and whatnot. Well, I think maybe before we go further into this build, I'm gonna hop on the internet so I can give you some more interesting facts about this as we go through it. Alright, we're back, and I did a little bit of homework now, so I'm a little bit more prepared to actually do this video like I should have been in the first place. First off, the USB ports are 1.1, not 2.0. I was right, those are FireWire 400. So let's look at the RAM. Now this machine, I was actually a little surprised. The specs were a little bit lower for this Mac than I thought they'd be. Officially, this takes up to 256 megabytes of PC100, which I think is really low even for that time period. I mean, it's not horribly low, but a lot of motherboards supported a good bit more than that at this time. But it actually can take up to, I believe, 2 gigabytes. But that's just like officially, I guess when they released the specs, it was like 256 max. But yeah, it can actually does support more than that. So you could put in, you know, 512 or a gigabyte or whatever with these 4 RAM slots, but it's PC 100. Also, this is not the earliest version of the G4. The earliest version of the G4 was called the Yikes. I forgot about that one, and it had a PCI slot. This one actually has an AGP slot. It's AGP times 1 times 2. So the earliest ones had PCI, and I think they were called the Yikes models. Completely forgot about those. Like I said, I believe this one is a 400 megahertz. Let me look on the back. There's a sticker. Alright, so I was wrong again. According to the sticker, this is a 450 megahertz G4. I believe the slowest ones were 350, but 450 is still a little bit, you know, the lower range for those earlier models. There was a 500 megahertz one as well, I believe, is in this original line that came out. So actually, I guess 450 was kind of middle of the road model when these came out. Still a good CPU for retro gaming, if that's what you're looking to do with this thing. So here we have ATA 66. This would be where your wireless Ethernet card would go, I guess. There's not one installed. Back here, we've got another. It's going to be a little bit hard to see. We have the CMOS battery. Another ATA, and here's the power. We've got 3 PCI slots, although they're longer. I forget what those are called. Like PCI, I completely forget, but they're the PCI slots. Here's an IDE controller, I believe, but I can't see it. Let me remove these cards and then we'll look at them. All right, so here's the motherboard with no cards in it. So you can probably see the layout a little bit better. Looking at the CPU, it looks like I'm trying to figure out how to take this thing off. Anyways, here's your AGP and those 3 long PCI slots. So the cards the guy had in it, one was a SCSI controller, 50-pin SCSI controller, and the video card was a Rage 128 Pro. Not a bad card for the time. Again, Rage cards from ATI are very common in this era. Macintoshes, so it actually goes together quite well. I don't know if this was an upgrade or something the owner added. This probably, I'm thinking this came with it. This Mac does not have built-in video, so it was sold with a video card, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was the card that was sold with it. So hard drives. Previous owner loved hard drives. He's got there was actually another one in here, and I don't remember why I took it out. So it's whatever we find in here plus one is how many hard drives the previous owner had in this thing. So we've got one here. We've got, oh, this one's pretty loose. We've got two here. Is there one or two here? I can't, two here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He had 6 hard drives, and then this is also a hard drive. So he took out the zip drive, or it didn't come with a zip drive, although with that faceplate, I'm going to assume it came with a zip drive. He took out the zip drive and he put in another hard drive. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then there was one in there. I forget why I took it out. It was months ago I grabbed this thing. So there's like 7 hard drives in here. So I don't know if he was using it just for like data storage or as a server of some sort or something. Man, the guy loved his hard drives. So there's a little paper that I now see taped up here for some reason. Some kind of unintelligible 400. Maybe this is the layout of his hard drives, because I guess he needs a special paper because he's got so many damn hard drives. I don't want to show that. Looks like personal information. Yeah. Oh well. Okay, so yeah, the guy loved hard drives. All right. I guess I'm gonna sort of restore this thing. Not the stock, because I'm putting in a super fast CPU. So what's my goal for this thing? Well, I'm gonna take out this abundance of hard drives, I think, and probably just cut it down to 1 or 2 hard drives. I have a blue. It's not translucent blue, but I have a blue faceplate zip drive. Maybe with these models you have to take the faceplate off, but I'm gonna take this hard drive off and I'm gonna actually put a zip drive in there like there should be. I'm gonna put it down to maybe 1 or 2 hard drives, and I'm gonna install OS 10, I think, if I can find a copy, and then I'm gonna upgrade the CPU to this just to see if this works actually. So let's take a look. Now I have the box, but there isn't actually documentation. This is real hard to open with one hand. So here's our upgrade CPU again. Like I said, there's no like papers or documentation, but we do have the CPU in an anti-static bag. So here it is. Nice blue or purple heatsink. It's actually got a fan on it. Looks immaculate condition. I'm not even sure if this was actually used. There's the CPU. It even has the little cover on it. So yeah, this is our this is gonna be our upgrade. I like the look of this thing. All right, so I guess I'm gonna see if it actually boots up. So I'll plug it in, see if anything boots up, and we'll go from there, I guess. Alright, so I'm gonna power it up. I did power this up when I initially got it, and it did power up. I think it had an OS. It went into the OS, but I don't really remember. It was a while ago. So okay, so there, it's lit up. Now you can hear it. You can hear this 50 hard drives powered up, and nothing yet, but these Macs take a minute to initialize the video. Okay, something's happening. Something is happening. Maybe. Okay, well, that's good. It's outputting something, and something's happening. So that's all good. At least that means, I mean, worst case, there's just no OS, or the OS got corrupted or something, and I just reinstall another one. So that's good. Alright, I'm gonna turn this off and I'll come back if something happens. Alright, so yes, it did boot up into some version of Windows 10. I haven't looked yet. Only 2 of those hard drives are showing. I did get an error about a drive that wasn't mountable, or multiple drives aren't mountable, but that's, I guess, to be expected. Like I said, I don't know what the previous owner was doing with this thing or how well it was set up or anything. So I'm gonna go through this thing for any interesting files, and here we go, just to show you officially the specs on this thing. Guess it has 1.5 gigabytes of memory. It is, like I said before, the 450 megahertz power PC, and it's OS X or OS 10 10.2. That is version 10.2. Haven't found anything interesting, no government secrets or anything on this thing yet. If I don't really find anything interesting, well, even if I do find something interesting, I'm just going to wipe everything, and then we'll start. I think I might just put the zip drive, just see if I can get it running as is, and then I think I'll do the CPU upgrade last. I want to kind of get it running okay, as you know, with the CPU it has in it now, and then once everything is done there and it's running okay that way, then I'll swap CPUs and we'll get that massive power upgrade. Alright, I was wrong by 1 hard drive. It's a little higher up than the others, so it kind of looked like there were 2 hard drives right there, but it's just 1. So we had 1, 2, 3, then 4. I took 1 out already, and 5. So there were only 6 hard drives in this thing, not 7 originally. So, and apparently the main hard drive, for some reason, where the OS is this weird one that he put up here in the zip drive bay. And here's the other one. So these 2 were corrected or not formatted or something. So, and I already took 1 out, which is kind of a nice. This is kind of a nice drive. It's an ATA 133, 160 gigabytes. So I might be able to use this, format this maybe for like FAT32 or whatever, and put this in use this in a PC. I like those the ATA 133 drives. Those were the fastest and last of the IDE drives. You know, I'll continue with this machine, and we'll get back when something riveting happens. So I just noticed this was dangling around, and this is a little a clip, and it's clipped right here, and I think this was for like grounding. I don't think this came with the machine. I think previous owner added this to ground something. I don't know. I don't know why it's there. I'm gonna take it off. I also found this like putty stuff in here. It was on top of one of the hard drives. I think it was like to cushion it, but it was looked like a little tile. It was square, and then it kind of fell apart, and I squished it into this goo. Well, it's not goo, it's just like putty. It's like the kind of putty, I don't know. The alligator clip guys like it though. 2 hard drives I took out, not consistent. They're all like different brands. This is one 20 gigabyte. This is a old 40 gigabyte Fireball, but then this one says old RAID on it, so maybe that's why he had so many hard drives. He was running some kind of RAID array, I'm guessing. Maybe, or maybe this used to be in a RAID array in a different machine, and he just took it out and put it in this one. He or she, I don't know. But yeah, nothing really spectacular so far with the drives. These were on the little sleds. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this one out, and I'm gonna put it on one of the sleds and put it down here. So we'll have our 2 drives. I'll have the one with the OS, and then whatever the secondary one for data. And I'm gonna put the zip drive up here, and then it should be okay. And then I'll mess around with it a bit, and then we'll do the CPU swap. If you're ever wondering on this model of Mac how to get either of these drives out, there's these little tabs that you press, and then you just kind of push this thing off the faceplate there. And then there were 2 screws here, and you just unscrew those, and then you just push from the back, and this whole thing slides out on like a big sled thing. Apple loved like sleds of all sorts in their machines, so that's how you do that, in case you were wondering. Alright, so I have that drive taken out of that sled and placed down here next to the other one, so those where the two hard drives are going to be. Now I was wrong about my SCSI drives. I do have one with a purple faceplate, but it is a SCSI drive, and I need an IDE one. Well, I don't need it. I can use that convenient SCSI controller that came with it right there, and use the SCSI zip drive, but I don't want to waste a good SCSI drive and cable on this machine, so I'm just going to put it in a good old-fashioned IDE zip drive. It will just kind of look not so great with the beige faceplate. But I was wondering, I wasn't sure if you have to I was thinking maybe you need to remove the faceplate, but I don't think that's how it is. Because see how this is like an indent, and then on here it bulges, so I think it just sort of goes over, so it will look like that, which doesn't look great, but I guess it's better than having a hard drive jammed in there. Hello. So a day has passed since I was fiddling with this thing yesterday, and you might notice there's no zip drive. I learned a few things yesterday. First off, I keep calling this the AGP G4 Mac, and that's an appropriate name for it, but I think the official name for this version is the Sawtooth. So this is the Sawtooth version of the G4, and then the one after this I believe is the digital, or it's the Ethernet edition, or extreme Ethernet, or some gigabyte Ethernet, and then we have the digital audio, which I believe I did a video on the digital audio version. And then after that we get into ones with completely different cases, like the mirror drive door, and there's another one too. There were different revisions that use different cases. And the one right before this was the Yikes, and that was really, I think it was the same case as this, maybe a little bit lighter blue, but as I said earlier, it was more similar to the G3 blue and white Mac, actually. So first of all, that zip drive that was white looked really ugly here, and it didn't work anyways. But the other thing is, alright, you may notice now that this is connected here, and I moved the hard drives to connect here. That's because originally when I was trying to push this in, I kind of forced it in a bit, and it actually pierced the ATA or the IDE cable and destroyed it. Now, they aren't the easiest things to remove because they look nice, but the Mac one, or how Apple did it, is they come out and it snakes down and it goes and then it connects here. And as you can see, if you'll see right here, it's still kind of there. I couldn't fully remove it. It's kind of like attached here, and it's attached under here, and it's just, I didn't want to take this whole thing apart to get this stupid cable out. So yeah, I took scissors and I cut it here, and then I cut it back here. It's really annoying to get out. Maybe there's a real simple way that I missed, but it doesn't matter. I'm actually going to upgrade the IDE controller anyways. So speaking of that, I remembered that I had an extra one of these in the box, and since I do have an ATA 133 hard drive in there, I figured, what the heck, I will throw this in and see if it works. Now, as for that zip drive, the zip drive might actually be the last upgrade I do, because I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. Now, I have the SCSI card here, and I have that SCSI zip drive with the blue faceplate, but it requires a floppy style Molex power connector, and this G4 only has the regular Molex connector. So I have to get the converter, the 4-pin Molex to the floppy power connector off eBay anyways. So I'm probably just going to buy an official blue faceplate IDE zip drive anyways. So that will probably be the last upgrade I do, and it will either be using that SCSI one or just getting an official zip drive for this machine. The SCSI, I'm guessing, might still be a little bit faster, but I'm not 100% sure at this point in time. ATA kind of caught up, or IDE, or whatever you want to call it. It seems to have pretty much caught up with SCSI at this point, although I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem like the huge speed difference it was in the, early 90s and back. So there's other things I could do. I could upgrade this graphics card, obviously, but I'm not going to do that. Looking at videos on YouTube, this might be the fastest. Once I put that 1.7 gigahertz CPU in here, this might be the fastest Sawtooth on YouTube. There are faster G4s on YouTube, but they seem to be other models. They seem to all be like, most of the G4s on YouTube seem to be later models. They seem to be the Gigabyte Ethernet model, or the Extreme, or the digital audio version. So I think I'm also going to dig through my RAM and just put in 2 gigabytes. Now, if you're using OS 9, I believe it only will detect up to 1.5 gigabytes, but since we have OS 10 on here, it should detect a full 2 gigabytes if I put in another stick, if I have another one. I'll look through my stash. So I think I'll do the RAM first. Then we're going to put in this ATA 133 and see if that works out. And then we'll do the CPU upgrade, and then it will probably be a week or two, and it won't be for you guys because I'll just cut to it, obviously. And then I think finally we'll either put in that SCSI zip drive, or we'll put in a regular, like an official zip drive, and then we should be good with this upgrade. Alright, so here we go. I've installed another 512 megabyte stick of RAM. This is PC133. The board only supports PC100, but of course you can use PC133 SD RAM. It just clocks it down. It acts as if it was PC100. I also noticed there's a little internal FireWire 400 port, which is pretty cool, just inside on the motherboard. Okay, so I did install that IDE 133 card. Now it should boot from this. It says on the box that it supports booting, but I don't know. Sometimes you need drivers at least to get functionality with hard drives. But I'm not really sure how it works on a Mac. Also, I'm sure I already corrected it with a little annotation or something, but these are 64-bit PCI slots. I've dealt with them before in Macs. I don't know why I keep forgetting they're just called 64-bit PCI slots. I've never really found like a real good use for them. I'm sure they make 64-bit PCI cards, maybe even video cards or anything, but I don't think it's any better than just using AGP, so I'm not really sure. Maybe like specialized cards or RAID controllers or something. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, like I said before, there's more I could do if I really wanted to upgrade this thing. I think there's like better fans I could put on, airport card. Again, I think the best you could do is a Mac version, like a Radeon 9800 Pro, which would be a decent upgrade from this Rage 128 Pro, but I don't really feel like putting the money and effort into this machine since I'm probably going to get rid of it in the end anyways. Alright, so let's just power it on and see if our RAM upgrade works out, and we'll see if it boots from the card. Hopefully it should boot a little faster, seeing as that's significantly faster. Although I think the OS is on the ATA 100 hard drive, but it will still should theoretically see a little bit of a boost, since the motherboard support only has ATA 66. And well, that's good. The image came on, or should have. There we go, and no, it's not seeing it. So I'm guessing I need drivers for this thing to boot from the hard drive. Now, do you hear that? That's the fan. I don't like how it's making that noise, though. I really hope that fan isn't going out on me. So maybe I'll look for drivers for this thing. Maybe I'll just have the CD-ROM and eventually zip drive run off the card, but okay, I think I'm gonna look for drivers because I'm guessing that's the problem, why it's not booting from the card. Alright, well, I think I've discovered the reason why my hard drives will not boot from this IDE card, and I think they're too large, because it just wasn't booting from it. And then I decided to hook up this, I remember I'd had a hard drive sitting around that was an 80 gigger that had OS 10 on it. I believe this was originally in an iMac, and I hooked it up and it booted up to it without any problems. It was pretty speedy too. As you can see, the RAM upgrade worked. It says 2 gigabytes. But yeah, that's the issue. I guess those hard drives over there are just too big. Now I went online and there is like a firmware upgrade that should allow larger size hard drives, although I think that might only be up to like 132 gig, or maybe it lets them see hard drives over 132 gig. I'm not sure, but the thing is, I have no idea how to do that on a Mac. I downloaded the drivers, and thankfully USB works on this thing just fine, so I don't have to play around with Mac and PC formats. And I put it on the thing, and it's not. There's like no executable. I have no idea what to do with the file, and the internet doesn't seem to be much help on that. So basically, I have no idea how to upgrade, either install the driver or upgrade the firmware on this thing. So I mean, I probably could do it if I really cared about it that much. But for laziness sake, I'm probably just going to use the onboard ATA 66 with those hard drives. Now, I could just put this hard drive in there, which is pretty nice. It has like OS 10.4, and it has a partition on it with OS 9.2.2. And that'd be great for this machine as like a retro rig, but I don't think I'm gonna bother. So actually, that's probably what the problem was with my G3 as well. So you know what? Maybe I will put this hard drive in that machine and see if it boots from it, and but then I'd be well, we'll see. At least I'm okay. So at least I know that's the problem now. Like, I think I have OS 8.6 on that one, which I kind of want to keep it that way. So maybe I'll just get a smaller hard drive and put OS 8.6 on it and do that, since now I know that's probably the issue. So yeah, I'm gonna disconnect this, and I'm gonna reconnect it, and I'll just run it slower, since like I said, I don't have grand plans for this thing, but it's nice to know that's probably what the issue is. So it may seem a little silly that I'm not bothering to put that ATA 133 card in, even switch hard drives, just because I did notice quite a speed boost in booting up and stuff. But actually, the more I thought about it, I actually have another machine that I'm a lot more interested in, that I'm probably just going to use that card in, maybe even that hard drive. And like I said, with this machine, I don't even know if I'm going to keep it. I'm just kind of checking it out here and checking out that upgrade CPU. But anyways, time to take this guy off. Now, these little clips, they were, down here. I mean, I don't know if I want to reattach it, but all I did is I took a screwdriver and I put it in there behind them, and I just pushed out very gently, and they popped right off. And then you just take these off, and then those just come right off. Okay, it's stuck in the heatsink. And this, okay, I don't even know where it went. This should lift right off. Yes, it did. And there's our CPU. Okay. There's the little clips that kind of hold the heatsink on. So it looks like there's 3 screws. We'll unscrew these and then gently rock it and pull it off. And then I believe it's time to try out the upgrade CPU. Now, the one thing with the upgrade CPU, I'm not 100% sure if it's just going to be kind of plug and play, where I just plug it in and it works, or if I'm going to have to mess around with some jumpers somewhere. I don't see any jumpers on this board, but I believe I remember reading there are some jumpers somewhere on it, or if I'm going to have to install some kind of firmware upgrade or something like that, which I don't even know if I'm going to bother doing, to be honest. So, okay, it's here. It's right here. So gently rock it back and forth, and there we go. So here's the CPU right there. I believe that's the cache, the L2 cache. I think this has a megabyte, maybe even 2 megabytes. I'm not sure with the G4. Okay, so now it's time to put on our 1.7 gigahertz. Alright, so here's our new CPU. It's going to go right there. It's got its own little fan that plugs into itself. 1.7, well, that's 1,700 megahertz. So we just take this little thing off. If I can, there we go, just comes right off. And then I think we just connect it down, and then we screw in the 3 little screws. Yeah. Alright, so line this thing up. It's a little awkward to line it up because you can't really see. So it feels a little awkward putting this on there. Like I said, because you guys gotta kind of eyeball it. It seems. A little awkward. Hold on. Right. So I think I see the best way to do that is you look at here and then you just kind of have your view of sight and you try to line it up with that right there. So it looks good or not. Okay, yeah, that feels good. I think we got it. So now it's just screwing down the CPU, and then it doesn't look like there's like a little, I think the heat sink's just like attached, so we don't have to use those little whatever they are, clips. Alright, time for a moment of truth. Let's see if anything happens. So hitting the power button now. Fan went up, it's powered up. Nothing up there yet. Taking a little bit longer than usual. I don't think I'm getting anything. Alright, well that's not good. The fan's spinning, so I'm guessing it's connected okay because it's getting power. But yeah, I'm not getting, let me check. Yeah, monitor's plugged in, everything's fine, it's just not getting anything. So that's not good at all. So I guess, yeah, I'll try reseating it. I don't know. That's very, very disappointing. Well, I think I found the problem, and Apple, well, this isn't an actual Apple product, but cheap plastic ruins the day again. Now, if you look right on this side, there's a piece broken off right there. And if you look down here in the socket, there it is, and it's jammed in there. And I guess somehow in my maneuvering it snapped off and wedged in there, and I'm pretty sure that's why it's not working. Now hopefully I can remove that, although I don't know, those pins, if they're like bent or something. I know that's hell on the newer like Intel sockets where the CPU, where the pins are on the motherboard. I'm just going to try to gently remove that piece of plastic and try reseating it, and I hope nothing's got, you know, irreversibly damaged, but we'll find out. That's weird. I don't know how that happens. I know I was playing with it a little bit, but man, I didn't think I was jostling around that much where a piece could just snap off and lodge in there. So I guess lesson learned. Alright, so I'm going to try to fix this. Alright, so yeah, there was like a bent pin on that thing, and that's the problem with these CPU sockets that have the pins on the motherboard. If you mess it up and those pins get bent, you've screwed your whole motherboard. Now I haven't tested this yet. Just to be sure, I put the old CPU back in. I bent things back in place as well as I could, and it wasn't too bad, but it's really hard to see when you have all those little pins down there. So I put the original back on, and we're gonna test it out. But yeah, this whole machine may be dead now because of that unfortunate accident. It happens. That's the danger. You know, that's really why I don't like pins on the motherboard. Now, if it's on the CPU, then you just kill your CPU. It still sucks, but at least it's not your whole machine. So we'll see. I don't have high hopes for this. I haven't ever had much luck in fixing, like I said, newer Intel boards that have bent pins on the motherboard. But we'll see here if anything happens. And nothing. No, wait, okay. We got video initialized. Okay, well, it might not be dead. So, that's good. That's very good. Yeah, it looks... I was expecting it to be toast, to be honest. But now the question is, do I bother trying to put the upgrade on it? Or just, should I press my luck and try to put the upgrade on it again? Or just leave it as is? I'll probably press my luck.
Stop! Stop at a car! Yeah! It's time to press your luck!
Just because I don't have a lot of money into this thing. So... yeah, it's very slow to boot up, but I think that's because of the hard drive and the ATA66. So, yeah, yep, okay, cool. I'm kind of relieved. But yeah, I think I will press my luck and I will try the upgrade card again, and I'm just going to be really, really careful. So, we'll get back to you once that's done. Alright, so it's back on. I should also point out the reason the screws weren't screwing in is that screwdriver was just too big, so you want to use something a little bit smaller like this. So, a little bit easier time getting the thing on this time. So, let's see if it works this time. Alright, here we go. Fingers crossed.
Please! No, Whammy, stay away, please!
I heard the bong, which is good. This computer is weird. Sometimes it does the bong, sometimes it doesn't. Even when it boots up just fine. So, nothing yet. There we go. Okay, cool. It looks like it's working. We got power. Okay, good. All right. All right. Whew. That is a relief. That means, at least it seems, that the upgrade or this upgrade module is working, and the motherboard didn't get screwed up because of, you know, me. Well, to be fair, it is maybe not the best design anyways, but okay, it's working. So I guess now we'll see if it actually registers as 1.7 gigahertz. Okay, sweet. There we go. 1.7 gigahertz PowerPC G3? What? What? It's definitely a G4. Why does it say G3? That's weird. I really think it's just an OS goof. But I'm gonna put the old one back on anyways, because I really was just, this whole video was really just to test this processor module before I got rid of it. So, so you know. But yeah, that's cool. It works. I like the color. I like how there's a fan on it, and it's a little bit warm right here, but I like how it's that purple color. It looks like a beastly CPU module there, and it did load up when it got past that initial loading. OS 10 like loaded up really fast. It would probably load up like really quick with that ATA card and whatnot, but I am not. Like I said, I've got other plans for that. So I think the last thing will be to put in that zip drive. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to replace, put in the stock CPU, and then I'll finish up this video when I get the stock, the zip drive, and put it in there, and I'll wrap it up and do my final thoughts here. I'll get some gameplay in on this thing, so I can test a little bit and see how much I like it at the stock CPU speed. Just so I could give a little comment on, you know, this machine fairly stock. So I guess I will conclude this video when I get either that Molex connector, like I said, for the SCSI or just a base IDE zip drive. Now, it most definitely says STG4, so that's just a weird little OS goof, I guess. Probably needs some kind of firmware update, I mean, obviously when this machine came out there wasn't 1.7 gigahertz G4s available, at least I don't think so. So it's probably just a little goof of the OS, and it probably just needs some kind of OS update to recognize that properly, but I believe it still would have functioned just fine in there with it not being recognized, or at least not named correctly. So guess it's back to the 450 megahertz. Alright, well, I actually discovered I did have one of those converter things from floppy to Molex just sitting around, so I'm going to go ahead and install this SCSI zip drive with the purple front using the SCSI card and this 50-pin cable that came with the machine, so it's going to go right there. Okay, so what we have here, this is the game Incoming. This is the Mac version. There's also a PC version. I believe this game does have some sort of mode that you can go into to give an example of frame rate and how it will play, but I couldn't seem to figure out how to start that. I don't even know if it's present on the Mac version. So this game, I believe this game came out in the very late 90s, but the Mac version took a little bit of time to come out. I think it came out like 2001 or 2002 for Mac OS 10. So yeah, this game plays perfectly fine on this machine. This is the stock 450 megahertz CPU with the 2 gigabytes of PC100 RAM. There's no sound. That's not because the Mac couldn't do sound. It's for some reason I neglected to record the sound. I've been having a lot of sound issues with my recording equipment lately for some reason, but I don't think that's why. I think I just was being lazy, or I figured I was going to be talking over. I recorded this footage a while ago. Between then and editing, I just don't remember why I didn't record the sound, but that's okay because we just want to see how well it plays anyways, and like I said, it plays just fine. Hope the image is okay. I don't know. I have the same equipment as a lot of other YouTubers, but their captures always seem to come out crystal clear and beautiful, or mine always seems kind of like blurry. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I do realize a lot of YouTubers use like DOSBox to capture old DOS games, but I know there are people that actually capture off real hardware, and it always turns out they always look way better than mine, and using like the same equipment. So I don't know what's going on there. I guess I don't know how to optimize it right. Here's the helicopter. You can tell right away I have not played this game much because I'm still figuring out the controls and how to fly this helicopter here. But yeah, I just wanted to give an example of at least one game running on this machine, stock, or mostly stock. Just for example, like I said, I don't have a lot of Mac games, but I did want to give at least one example here. Alright, so here's the machine up and running. You can see I've got the SCSI zip drive in and the little zip slot, or even says zip. Of course, it's really stock. It was supposed to be an IDE drive, and the plastic was supposed to kind of match this translucent blue, but I think the solid purple actually looks just fine. It looks like it belongs. So yeah, I really like the look of this case. Got the green power button here, and we're running fine. There's the 2 hard drives, and there's the Omega zip drive. We got the 4 gigabytes of SD RAM in there. So yeah, I mean, it's a decent machine. I mean, it's probably like, well, why did you put in that big upgrade and then just take it out? Like I said, I'm not looking to keep this machine. I just don't have a reason to keep it other than to just have it between my G3 there for 90s Mac games and my G5. I just don't have a reason to keep this around. So I'm just gonna probably sell this machine locally, and then it just makes more economic sense to sell the accelerator, CPU accelerator, separately. So yeah, I was just kind of a quick look at this machine, mainly taking a look at it just to test out that CPU accelerator. But I mean, basically, I think this is a decent machine if you want a Macintosh to play, you know, like 90s games. This, I think, should run OS 8 or 9 or 10 just fine, or you could even have a dual OS 10 machine that's also running OS 9, something like that. The CPU is fast enough that it should play all those games without trouble, but it's not too fast where it's just ridiculous overkill. Personally, you know, I prefer this 90s looking machine that's a bit less powerful over this one, although I do like the look of this machine. I just, for my 90s nostalgia Mac gaming, I just prefer the look of the G3. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice case. I'm not going to open it, it's plugged in and doing stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's a decent machine. It's worth picking up if you could get it really cheap. So, I mean, that's basically a look at the Sawtooth. So, again, thank you guys for watching this video. There's more to come.